أحب الوفاء بشتى الصور أحب الوفي الأمين
Join me, Faizal MJ Suleman, this and every Saturday on Rise and Shine. Looking forward to gracing the airwaves of Radio Al Ansar from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Rise and Shine.
الوفاء بشتى الصور أحب الوفاء بشتى الصور أحب الوفي الأمين أغر فأهل الوفاء كلون السحاب وحسن الربيع
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم سيدنا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord, cherisher, nourisher, sustainer and master of the universe, the most gracious, the most beneficent, the most merciful. Ya Allah, it is on you that we worship and your guidance that we seek. Ya Allah, keep us in the straight path. Ya Allah, show us the choice of blessings. Ya Allah, show us your mercy. Ya Allah, guide us. Greetings, salams, salutations on our beloved Nabi Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. 3 minutes past 8 on this beautiful Saturday morning. It's nice and warm outside. And of course, beautiful weather. We're thankful to the Almighty for all the favors that He bestows upon us. It is the 9th of November 2024, the 7th of they forgot the date on this Aswan. I think it's okay, it is 1446, and we welcome you to Rise and Shine on Radio Al Ansar with myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. Yes, undoubtedly, as I said, an absolutely beautiful day, and of course, we look forward to the Saturday mornings because it's not only going to be Rise and Shine, but of course, it's a beginning of the weekend as well. Well, it is the 7th of Jamadul Ula 1446, and yes, this is Rise and Shine. My team this morning is brother Asfat Afili, who is engineering for me, and of course, the program has been produced by Hajra Kota. We'll start this morning's program with some inspirational messages, and today's message is How to Stop Worrying About the Future by Noman Ali Khan. Let's listen to this audio.
Fear is about what's going to happen in the future. Fear is about, am I going to lose my job? Is what's going to happen to mom? What's going to happen to my family? What are they going to say? What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen with my exam? What's going to happen with my immigration? What's going to happen with this and what's going to happen with that? These fears about what's going to happen in the next few hours or in the next few days or in the year from now or in the future, these fears are small and big, and they're all the time. They're a part of us. You wake up afraid. You're afraid you're going to be late to work. You're afraid that you forgot about some task that you had to do, or the time's running out. Small fears, big fears. But fear is a constant part of life. It's always there. But today I want to talk to you about an extreme case of fear and sadness first. And that's the mother of Musa alayhi salam. I can't think of a more extreme case of a woman who had to do something so incredibly unthinkable. She knows that any minute from now, soldiers are going to break her door and they're going to kill her baby in front of her own eyes. For a mother to imagine the murder of her own newborn baby, unthinkable. And the only idea she had that Allah put in her is you need to put your child in a basket and put that basket, alqihi fil yam, throw it into the river. It's not even nicely, gently put it into the river. Ilqa is to throw. And this mother has to take her newborn. He can't even crawl yet. He can't even do that yet. And she has to throw this thing into the water. Can you imagine the kind of fear this woman has in her heart when she does that? And when she does that, she can't even look at it and can't even cry and scream, my baby, my baby. She can't do that because if she does that, the soldiers will know one survived and they'll go after him and kill him. So she has to not even be, even if she looks, she has to look from the side. And then this water is not standing still, it's moving. So this basket is slipping away from her sight to the point where she doesn't even know what happened to it. She has no idea what's happened to it. And now she's living with this incredible, overwhelming sadness. What have I just done? What's going to happen to my baby? And in those moments, Allah Azza wa Jal told her, لا تخافي ولا تحزني. Don't be afraid. Don't feel sadness. And even though she still felt afraid, and she still felt sadness, what we're learning in these ayat is Allah will help you overcome not being drowned by fear and not being drowned by sadness. He can let you navigate those two feelings. Those two feelings are very powerful. They're enough to drive someone mad. They're enough to drive someone to the point where they don't want to live anymore. It can be that powerful. And yet Allah can give you the strength to overcome what you and I don't have the strength to overcome. This mother, like no other mother, could stand doing that and survive. So Allah says, وَأَصْبَحَ فُؤَادُ أُمِّ مُوسَى فَارِغًا. Musa's mother's heart was, you can think of the imagery as it was bleeding out. It was emptying out. It's like her heart was exploding. إِن كَادَتْ لَتُبْدِي بِهِ. She was on the verge of just screaming out, that's my baby, I want my baby back. She was on the very verge of it. She couldn't hold it in. لَوْلَا أَرَّبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قَلْبِهَا. Had we not tied her heart up, like literally something's about to shatter and leak, and Allah says He, like a rope, tied it up and held it in place. What are we learning? We're actually learning that you and I are not capable of controlling our emotions until Allah gives us the strength to do so. The situation didn't change. The baby didn't start flying instead of floating in the water. The reality didn't change, but her heart changed. Her heart was strengthened by divine intervention from Allah Himself. لَوْلَا أَرَّبَطْنَا عَلَىٰ قَلْبِهَا. And she's not a prophet. What we're learning in these ayat is that Allah will give you and me a strength to our hearts that we'll be able to overcome the most powerful fear and the most powerful sadness, the deepest kind of sadness. He'll make us strong enough, not that those things will go away, but you'll be strong enough to go through it. You won't collapse. Your heart won't fall apart. And He says all of this, لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, so she may be from those who truly believe. She could truly hold on to faith. She won't ever accept that my baby drowned. She won't accept that. She'll hold on to her faith. She'll hold on to hope. As a matter of fact, in this ayah, for her to be a believer actually is the same as for her to be hopeful.
मेरे मदीने वाले आका या नबी बार बार मदीने में हो जाए मेरा जाना बार बार मदीने में हो जाए मेरा जाना.
Message from Sister Ruqayya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My Faizal Bhai and the Rise and Shine team. Random acts of kindness makes everyone feel better. Live for today, not for tomorrow. For tomorrow is not guaranteed for anyone. Never look back. There is nothing there for you. Overthinking kills happiness. Everything that Allah Almighty allows to come away, He uses even the greatest error and the deepest pain to mold us into a better person. Ameen. May my Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, my brother Faizal Bhai, your family, your team, and the entire Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Ameen. And this comes from Sister Ruqayya. Jazakallah khair for the beautiful message. 0609041056. Message from Sister Layla Mehta. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to the blessed Ummah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Peace, blessings and salutations be upon Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah for yet another blessed day as it glorifies from sujood. On the path of your life, always seek guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you and your family barakah, ease and protection. Ameen. Have a blessed and safe weekend. Salams and dua, Sister Layla Mehta and family. And her inspiring reflection says, Tawakkul, always have trust on Allah. And her hadith for the day says, Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wassalatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. It was narrated from Abu Bakr, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, There is no sin more deserving that Allah hastens the punishment in this world, in addition to what is stored up for him in the hereafter, than injustice and severing the ties of kinship. This is Sahih Hadith, and reference is Sunan Ibn Majah 4211. I think that's a very, very appropriate message that has been sent by Sister Leila Mehta. The next message comes from Salams. This comes from Brian Adams. Salam to the Saturday bunch. You all have a good morning. Stay well. Ameen. Ameen. Jazakallah khair. Okay, that's your messages. Okay, another message comes from Sister Hafiza. Assalamu alaikum. Salah is an opportunity to talk to Allah, a private, intimate, and confidential conversation with the one who can solve all your problems. How appropriate, how apt. Thank you so much, Sister Hafiza.
हो जाए अगर पूरी जा देखूं मदीना में हो जाए ये मंजूरी बिन दीद किए शाह मर जाए ना दीवाना बार बार मदीने में हो जाए मेरा जान
Message comes from Sister Nasrin, says, Dua for the day, O Allah, we ask you for the good of this day, its triumphs, its victories, its illumination, its blessings and its guidance. And we take refuge in you from the evil of this day and the evil that follows it. Ameen. And she says, the thought for the day, a wise man was approached for advice. Tell me, sir, in which field can I make a great career? Answering with a smile, he said, be a good human being. There is a huge opportunity in this area and very little competition. Alhamdulillah, what beautiful advice. Let our feet walk in the footprints left behind by our beloved Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. For who better a perfect role model? Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah khair for that beautiful message as well. There's further messages that's come through, but they're very, 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 very long, and I'm not going to make it because Asfat tells me that he wants to take an ad break. So, okay, Asfat, let's take that break. I won't read the message.
हो जाए मेरा जाना फिर और ना कुछ मांगे सरकार का दीवाना
Radio Al Ansar, 24/7, 365.
Are you or a loved one battling the disease of addiction? Is your family, life, relationships, work suffering due to alcoholism and substance abuse? Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center are addiction specialists offering specialized psychotherapy and naltrexone therapy to help overcome addiction. Zensai offers hotel-style facilities to allow your loved ones to regain their dignity and overcome alcoholism and drug abuse in the most comfortable setting possible. Fight addiction, call Zensai Treatment, Recovery and Wellness Center, the addiction recovery specialist on 031 563 0751.
Hungry for flavour? Head over to Nando's Pavilion, Westfield Mall or Oceans Mall, where our flame-grilled peri-peri chicken is always fresh and flavourful. Experience our hospitality by dining in at Nando's Pavilion, Westfield Mall or Oceans Mall, which are all NIHT certified, and stand a chance to win a holiday getaway for four valued at 10,000 Rand at the Umhlanga Sands. Nando's! Fire it up!
The Outreach Slice of Life campaign. Since its inception, our Slice of Life has touched the lives of countless individuals through our distribution to schools, old age homes, orphanages, and deserving families within our community. This initiative has been instrumental in alleviating hunger. For only 9 Rand a loaf, you will be providing a family with their daily staple, bread. Donate now on www.alansar.org.za or call Outreach on 031 208 1601.
Have you heard? Heard what? The latest. Join Fatima Kareem every Saturday from 3 to 4 p.m. for the latest trends, sports updates, entertainment, technology, and the latest in your community. Community Buzz. We have news that keeps the community buzzing.
Radio Al Ansar, Durban, 90.4 FM. Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM.
You're listening to Rise and Shine on Radio Al Ansar, and it is, of course, 16 minutes past 8, and it's time for us to talk to our first guest this morning. Now, our ears are an essential part of our daily lives, connecting us to the world in ways often taken for granted. However, many overlook the potential risks to ear health from seemingly harmless habits. We have online with us Sister Fatima, Ismail, an audiologist. And Fatima, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair for joining me on the program this morning.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah for having me on your show, Mulana.
That's not Mulana, it's just Faizal.
Wow.
But thank you for the elevation in status. Thank you, appreciate it. Okay. Fatima, I introduced you as an audiologist. Please explain, for the benefit of myself, who is an audiologist?
Okay, so audiologists are healthcare professionals who focus on ear health and balance. So we would be the people who assess hearing, who do preventative work in terms of hearing health and hearing care. We would be the people fitting hearing aids, managing hearing aids, as well as balance and balance disorders that are linked to the ear.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that explanation. At least I know now that, if one has selective hearing, who to go to. Could you explain?
Definitely.
Could you explain why the ear is so delicate and why certain habits like using cotton swabs or inserting earbuds, etc., can be harmful?
Okay, so the ear is a small space. When you have an ear canal, and at the end of that ear canal is your eardrum, and after your eardrum is your middle ear. So when inserting objects into the ear canal, you are causing, you're introducing bacteria into that small canal, which can cause infection in that canal. Number two, you're also putting yourself at risk of touching and then perforating or putting a hole into the eardrum. Consequences. And that's something we really, really do want to be wary of. People who have a hole in the eardrum or perforation tend to suffer from long-term consequences, such as they're more prone to now middle ear and outer ear infections. Is generally long-term. They may even need surgical repair of that eardrum, and sometimes we're unable to do a surgical repair. So it is quite a serious matter when inserting small objects into the ear.
What practical steps can people take to ensure that the ears stay dry, especially after showering or swimming?
Okay, so things that we can do, one is we're not inserting anything into the ear. But after swimming, we can take a clean towel or a clean towel after we swim, and we want to clean the ear as far as we're able to using the tip of our finger. We want to also tilt the head to the side that we're cleaning, and you also, if it's for an adult, you can pull the earlobe back and upwards, which opens up the ear canal and allows any excess water to drain. If it's for a child, we tend to pull it back and down, which opens their canal and allows that water to drain out.
Now, many people use earbuds daily, yet often neglect cleaning them. How can bacteria from unclean earbuds contribute to ear infections? And what are the best practices for cleaning these devices?
Okay, so I'm assuming it's earbuds, the ones you use that connect to devices, hey?
Yes, absolutely.
Right. So obviously people are using earbuds and earpods more and more these days. The problem is not necessarily with using the earbud, it's when it's not used correctly. So number one, when using your earbuds, we are cleaning them. Most people don't actually clean their earpods or their earbuds. They use them, put them back into their pocket or into a container and just put them in the next day. And this happens for months on end. However, when taking them out of your ear canal, bacteria can build up, or infection can actually touch the tip of those earbuds. And when you reinsert them for the next use, like I said previously, the ear is a small dark area. If we introduce bacteria into this place, it actually is a wonderful place for bacteria to fester. So we want to make sure that we're cleaning our earbuds or our earpods daily. And if we're not able to do it daily, then at a minimum once a week, using an alcohol swab to make sure that you're getting all the bacteria and infection off the tip of your earbud. The second thing that we really need to take into account is the noise level or the sound level that the earbud or the earpod is being set at. When our phones give us indicators that you are now reaching high levels, we have to take that quite seriously, and we have to be bringing those volumes down. We generally want to keep our volumes at about 60 decibels, and that's halfway up, and definitely not all the way at the top of the volume ceiling.
Now, are there any other precautions that listeners can take when using ear devices for prolonged periods to avoid permanent damage?
Okay, so definitely, again, linking back to our previous question is monitoring the voice, the noise level. Anything above 80 to 85 decibels can cause noise-induced hearing loss. And our phones, actually, some of our phones can reach up to 95, 100 decibels, which is extremely high. And you'll walk past someone and you can hear the earpods are on maximum volume. Any prolonged use at a high volume will start to cause permanent damage that is completely irreversible. So we need to monitor. You want to be at that halfway mark on the volume line, and you definitely do not want to exceed that warning level that our phones nowadays give us according to regulations of 70, 75 decibels. And then obviously the cleaning routine as well.
Now, for those that are confirmed about their ear health, what are some early warning signs of damage or infections they should watch out for?
Okay, so early signs of damage would be a ringing sound in the ear that some people may hear. So that's your tinnitus. Sometimes it comes intermittently, but that is often the ear telling us that something is wrong. The second would be that you start missing out on parts of conversation. So you know that somebody has spoken, but you're just not entirely sure what they've said. Did she say fat, cat, rat, bat? You're not sure, and your brain's trying to fill in those gaps. When that starts happening quite often, you need to check your hearing. When you really struggle to hear in the presence of background noise, so when you're sitting at weddings, when you're sitting in meetings, when you're sitting in busy environments of the big family lunches, and you're struggling to keep up with the conversation, that's a big hallmark as well, to say that your ears are just not keeping up and we need to check our hearing. In terms of infection, that one would be a little bit more obvious because you'd be in pain. You may have pus coming out of the ears. You may have, again, a different type of a sound in the ear, a swooshing sound or something that sounds like the ocean in your ear, feeling bubbles or crackles in the ear. And that's signs that lead to infection of the ear.
How can parents help protect their children's ears in today's world of digital devices and constant headphone use? In fact, I think we can, adjust this question to include adults as well, because many of us have our earphones on constantly, just with our devices.
Okay, so when it's possible to not be using a headphone, we want to not use the headphone. So for some adults or for kids that are doing online school, at certain points they need to have headphones on for the clarity and obviously to cut out background noise. However, if you find that you are in a space where, there isn't any background noise, you don't actually need to be wearing headphones, then try to limit the use of the headphone and rather use the speaker on your laptop or on the screen that you are utilizing. Number two, again, is to monitor any noise levels. And I think I can't emphasize this enough, just because of the irreversibility of the hearing loss that comes from constant and prolonged exposure to noise. Keeping the ears clean without inserting any objects into them. So the way we explained, after swimming, after showering, ensuring that they are dry. And yeah, so I think it's noise and cleanliness that usually are the big components. But for adults and children alike, health actually plays quite a tremendous role in ear health. So, you'll find that people with diabetes are more prone to hearing loss than others. Coming out to tell us that because our blood vessels are under constant pressure, we starting hearing loss in individuals with cardiovascular health. So overall health, keeping healthy, eating well, looking after our ears, looking after our hearing, those are important because you only get one set of ears. And no matter what your normal natural hearing is, your normal natural hearing. And once there is a hearing loss, we need to intervene as soon as possible. People think, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. You never really have an objective measure of that. So my advice is always, if you are struggling with any of the symptoms that we've spoken about, then go and see your audiologist, whether it's in a government hospital or whether it's in private practice, but go and consult with an audiologist, because often when we miss these diagnoses early, we're sitting with a much bigger problem and a much more difficult to manage problem later on in life.
Now, the question is coming from one of our listeners, is that how often should one be visiting an audiologist stroke healthcare practitioner and for purposes of syringing and cleaning one's ears?
So the question is how often?
How often, yes.
Okay, so hearing testing, we normally recommend, like you do an annual eye check, we recommend annual hearing screening, which is quite a quick procedure. For syringing and earwax removal, that really depends. So as a rule, the ear is a self-cleaning mechanism. So most people's ears should remain clean on their own. When the structure of the ear is slightly deviant, or you've got quite a bend in your ear canal, or you're wearing headphones, pods for long periods of the day, and the dirt or wax can't really escape from the ear, that's when you may start having earwax occlusion, and the earwax building up. And some people also have an overproduction of earwax. So in that population, it depends on how quickly it builds up. Some people come in and see me annually, routinely, because by then the earwax has built up significantly. And some people actually come in between every 4 to 6 months to see me for that earwax removal. So it really depends on the reason that you're going in for an earwax removal. If it's just overproduction, you may need to come sooner, but sometimes you come in and we're able to give you preventative measures on how to prevent that build up, and then you don't really ever have to come back, or you may just have to come back, in a year's time. But yeah, so hearing checks definitely annually to make sure you're not missing anything, and earwax removal on a needs basis.
I'm just smiling at the next question that's come through, because it appears that this listener has the same problem as myself. Because whenever it comes to any healthcare professional, the first question I ask, is this procedure going to be painful? And that's the question that's come through. Is
Okay.
it's a painful procedure.
Okay. No, so hearing testing, not at all. It is a lengthy procedure. So our consultations for diagnostic hearing tests usually take an hour to an hour and a half, just because we run a series of tests so that we can truly understand exactly what's happening in the ear as well as what's happening with the hearing. In terms of earwax removal, what we normally do is we actually usually use a softening agent in the ear once we've already diagnosed that there's enough wax for that. So not to just, put any type of oil in your ear, or I've had people coming in with the craziest things, garlic in the ear, all different types of oil in the ear. Do not do that unless you've actually had a professional, whether it's a GP, whether it's an audiologist or an ENT, look into the ear and say, oh, okay, you've got this occluded wax in the ear. Now we softening agent. And then a softening agent will be recommended. After the use of that, we will then remove. For about 90% of patients, it's really not painful. You do have a small percentage of people who have very sensitive ears and just struggle with the sensation of anything being removed from the ear. But like I say, it's one in a few, and it's usually sensitivity and not pain. So no, it's not really a painful procedure to have earwax removal done when it's needed, but it is necessary because it can often impact your hearing and cause other complications.
Okay, there's another question that's come through as well. What can you do for dry ear, less wax?
So for dry ear, number one, you want to firstly have a professional look at it to establish why that ear is dry. Sometimes there can be skin conditions. So you get eczemas in the ear, you get lots of other dermatology issues that happen in the ear as well. So that needs to be ruled out. Sometimes people are actually putting earbuds into the ear consistent, or it's actually not an earbud, it's a cotton bud, into the ear, and little bits of yellow end up on the tip of the cotton bud. And they think, oh, I've cleaned my ear. But the ear does need, wax is produced in the ear because the ear needs it to stay lubricated. So if we are constantly, scratching out anything that's in the ear, you definitely will struggle with itchy ears because eventually the ear just dries out and you have that constant irritation. And then number two, if once diagnosed why a person would have itchy ears, then a professional would make a recommendation of what to then put in that ear, because it depends on the reason of the itchiness.
Sister Fatima Ismail, our audiologist, we thank you for joining me on the program this morning. And yes, it's been quite a fruitful discussion. Enjoy the week and all the best to you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Jazakallah. Thanks for having me. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Absolute pleasure. We spoke to Sister Fatima Ismail, who is an audiologist, and she spoke to us about ear health, the hidden risks of everyday ear habits. We're going to take a short break. We'll continue after this, inshallah. To stay with us.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al-Ansar.
Exciting update. Our spring sale is extended until 10th November. Hurry and grab your favorites. Shop in stores or online at va.junaidjamshades.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Come get our butcher's best for less at Checkers Foods Kawi Park. Enjoy certified halal butchery products like Championship Boerewors thin, just $98.99 per kg. All beef roast, just $99.99 per kilo. And tenderized beefsteak, just $89.99 per kg. Deals valid until Tuesday, November 19th. Only at Checkers Foods Kawi Park. Now certified by the NIHT, the National Independent Halal Trust, across our butchery, bakery, and deli.
Butterlicious, butterlicious, butterlicious. When the food melts in my mouth, so does my heart. Blended by our expert chefs with pure cotton seed oil. Divine lasts longer, so cook more with Divine. Divine makes every meal a special treat. It is butterlicious. Approved as part of the Heart and Stroke Foundation Eating Plan, Cotton Mark SA, and a proudly South African product. Divine Cooking Oil. Butterlicious.
They convinced the world to believe that terrorists look like beards and thobes. Now, as the facade cracks, one martyr after another, the world sees through the broken windows and now knows the true face of terrorism. It wears suits and ties and smiles behind lies.
اللهم احفظ المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الحاقدين اللهم أعد المسجد الأقصى إلى رحاب المسلمين اللهم وطهر المسجد الأقصى من اليهود الغاصبين اللهم عليك بهم فإنهم لا يعجزونك يا قوي يا متين اللهم منزل الكتاب مجري السحاب هازم الأحزاب سريع الحساب اهزم اليهود وزلزلهم يا قوي يا عزيز
Radio Al Ansar, 24/7, 365.
Rise and shine on Radio Lansar, and the world braces for uncertainty as Trump presidency looms. As the world braces for a second Trump presidency, both US allies and adversaries are preparing for a new era of unpredictability and potential shifts in the new world order. Let's listen to this clip.
The guardrails are off.
This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time.
In the wake of a crushing victory and stunning political comeback Tuesday, Donald Trump will return to the White House with an ironclad mandate and few legal or political checks on power. Buoyed by a resounding win, Trump is now poised to control both chambers of Congress and execute his America First agenda he has thrice campaigned on. Bracing for a radically transformed political order, world leaders scrambled to congratulate President-elect Trump online. Noticeably absent was a message from Russian President Vladimir Putin. This week, a Russian official described U.S.-Russia relations at a historic low. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov.
Let's not forget that we are talking about an unfriendly country that is directly and indirectly involved in the war against our state.
Ukraine, meanwhile, is anxious that U.S. support may decline and a quick peace deal touted by Trump might favor Russia. With protracted wars in Ukraine and the Middle East, European leaders are no doubt eager to get face time with the president-elect.
But I also look forward to sit down with President Trump and to navigate how collectively we'll make sure that we face this threat and that we keep our part of the world safe.
Trump's threats of a U.S. retraction from its NATO allies is causing measured alarm among longtime allies.
There has been a strategic awakening among us Europeans, and we must embrace it. We cannot delegate our security to the Americans forever.
On the economic front, President-elect Trump's promise to slap tariffs of up to 60% on U.S. imports has brought an air of uncertainty to the global economy, in particular to China. China's foreign ministry wrote, "We respect the choice of the American people and congratulate Mr. Trump on being elected as President of the United States." With Trump's return to the global stage, nonetheless, world leaders are bracing for the next Trump storm. Neil Giardino, TRT World.
Fear is about what's going to happen in the future. Fear is about, am I going to lose?
मैं जाऊं मैं देखूं मोहम्मद का रोजा बुला लो मदीना मुझे मेरे मौला मैं जाऊं मैं देखूं मोहम्मद का रोजा वो जिनको थी बरसों से आंखें तरसती जो हो जाए जलवा रहेंगी बरसती वो जिनको थी बरसों से आंखें तरसती.
You're listening to Rise and Shine on Radio Lansar. Now, 3/4 of the South Africans who suffer common mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress go untreated, not only due to healthcare system constraints, but also the barriers of stigma, misinformation, and fears of discrimination, job loss, or social rejection. We have online with us Professor Renata Schoeman, Head of Healthcare Leadership at Stellenbosch Business School. Professor Schoeman, good morning to you, and thank you for joining me on the program this morning.
Good morning, listeners. I apologize for my voice.
We can hear you. Professor, thank you for joining me. Now, stigma plays a significant role in untreated mental health issues. How does this stigma manifest in everyday life for people suffering from mental health disorders, and what can society do to address it?
Then the biggest consequence of stigma is that people do not actually access resources. So we talk about structural stigma, we talk about intrapersonal, interpersonal stigma. So intrapersonal stigma or internalized stigma is the person that suffers from the mental health disorder that attach negative labels to it, like I'm weak, or they're going to think I'm weak, or there must be something wrong with me, I must have a defect, all of those type of things. Interpersonal stigma is then where other people say, oh, but that is the reason he's depressed, or he has anxiety, that's why it's not coping. So it's almost you attach a label and then you devalue someone according to the label that you attached to it. But a lot of that labels attached is born out of ignorance and lack of awareness and knowledge. So which then contributes that people are scared of having a diagnosis and they're scared of accessing the services that can make such a big difference in their life and well-being.
Mm-hmm. Now, in your experience, Professor, what are the most common fears or misconceptions that prevent people from seeking help for mental health conditions, and how can these barriers be overcome?
It's interesting when I see the difference between children and adults, for example. So in the case of children, they often start to think I'm stupid or I'm weak or I just can't. So it's self-esteem issues where the parents often will not take their children to be assessed because they feel that the society will blame them for poor parenting. And yes, there are parents that's not optimal, but parenting won't necessarily trigger a mental health disorder, but it obviously can play a role in how it plays out. So parents are often very worried about acknowledging that the child needs help for the fear of how they are being perceived. In the case of adults, there's often the idea of there's something wrong with me, I must just work harder or pray harder, and I'm not religious enough. And, and people often make remarks, you should just pray harder, and then it will disappear. And then also people are very often scared of the medication. They often have misconceptions that medications are always indicated, which is not the case. And secondly, that the medications might be addictive or harmful. I think that is the biggest stigma, is that it's either something that I'm weak or that the medication is dangerous or that people will think there's something wrong with me. I'm not religious enough. I'm not a good parent.
Now, the media plays a powerful role in shaping public perceptions. How can the media contribute positively to reducing stigma around mental health? And what are some of the common pitfalls or stereotypes they should avoid?
I think it's very important to have a good collaboration with media, and I'm very glad of the relationship I've built up over the years. Able to have these conversations and just shed some light. So it's such a powerful tool where we can reach thousands of people in a couple of minutes, where otherwise it's one-on-one education for us when we see a patient or a family. Sorry. So I think what is a pitfall is that media needs to sell. So there is often an element of sensationalism, whether it is someone that killed himself or when there's a crime involved, which is barely associated with mental health conditions, maybe substance abuse sometimes, but it's often the sensational things that will work. So, for example, we will call methylphenidate kiddie stick or something like that, which can do significant harm. And even we had a mental health day the other day where we had a lot of journalists at the business school and we did training. And what is often happened, I used a sentence and it was quoted completely out of context. And it was ironic because we work the whole day on be careful how you quote, the specialist. Can be misconstrued. And then the other thing is where labels are used or diagnoses are used very loosely. And we see that also a common problem when people talk, I'm so ADHD. No, you just have a day that you battle to concentrate. ADHD is an established diagnosis with clear diagnostic criteria. The same to say, I'm so depressed, instead of just saying, I'm really having a difficult day. Depression is a real mental health disorder that need to be diagnosed. So if we throw around labels and if the media throw around labels easily, it often devalues the validity of the diagnosis for people that really struggle with the disorder, which then make access to care for them again difficult. So I think we must be very clear about how we use terminology and vocabulary as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, could you elaborate on how the misuse of terms like depressed, bipolar, or ADHD can contribute to stigma and why it's important to be more precise in our language?
I think exactly as I alluded to now. Let's take the example of bipolar. So there's various reasons why people might have instability of their emotions. It can be stress. Bipolar disorder. It might be ADHD. It might be a host of symptoms. Now, if we just say bipolar, then it almost have this connotation that it's fluctuations up and down, that every second person struggles with it. And again, it takes away the validity of the diagnosis. And secondly, funders look at it and say, but every second person is now bipolar. What is going on? We must prevent a financial risk for our medical scheme, and we don't want to fund. Now, bipolar, maybe not the best example because it's a prescribed minimum benefit. It has to be funded by law. But the same with ADHD. If we throw away the term too loosely, and use it too loosely, people are thinking, but is ADHD even real? Every second person struggles with it. And that is not the case. Only about 3 that we rather use symptoms like I struggle to concentrate, or I am fatigued, or I am demotivated, or I feel down today, instead of using the terminology which then contribute to people that really struggle with thinking, but other people think this is not real. How can I ask for help? Because people won't believe me that I really, really have functional impairment.
Professor, mental health conditions like depression and anxiety are major contributors to absenteeism and productivity loss. What strategies can companies implement to ensure that employees are supported both in terms of mental health care and work performance?
I think the number one thing is to be vulnerable, courageous leaders. If you can speak about your own mental health challenges or difficult days or stress that you experience, you open and you create the culture for other people to be able to speak up without feeling judged. When there's open conversations, it is also enhancing the ability and willingness of people to reach out when they need support, either at work or professional services outside of work. So that's the number one thing, create a culture of openness and awareness and support. Second thing is education, having awareness days, getting people in to speak, just having the conversation and have people really informed about disorders. You don't only help your employees, but you also help your employees' family in that way. The third thing is then to see where we can have accommodation available for people that do struggle with mental health conditions, whether it's just flexi time to be able to visit the clinic, to be able to see a psychologist, or whether something else is maybe needed in the acute phase, like workplace accommodations in terms of maybe reduced hours or different work environment or whatever the case might be. And then lastly, to really understand that we can have all the bells and whistles in place. We can have employment assistance programs, etc. But in the end, we really have to reform the values of the company as well. We will not tolerate harassment. We will not tolerate abuse. We will not tolerate discrimination and stigma towards people with mental health conditions the same way we don't tolerate it towards people with physical conditions.
Professor Schoeman, thank you very much for joining me in the program this morning. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. And yes, have a good weekend, and may you get well soon.
Thank you. My pleasure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. We spoke to Professor Renata Schoeman, Head of Healthcare Leadership at Stellenbosch Business School, and she spoke to us about the stigma, which is the leading cause of untreated mental health. Take a quick nasheed break and continue on the other side of this, inshallah.
الرب صلى دائما وسلم على المكرم ما زمزم الحادي وما ترنم
0609041056. Let those WhatsApp messages roll. Message comes from brother Yusuf Patel. Okay, we just read that now. Okay, yeah. It says He says rather, buy one, get one free. When we buy jealousy, we get headache for free. When we buy anger, we get acidity for free. When we buy hate, we get ulcer for free. When we buy stress, we get blood pressure for free. Similarly, when we buy trust, then we get friendship for free. When we buy exercise, we get health for free. When we buy peace, good sleep is for free. And when we buy love, we get the Lord's grace for free with good qualities. When we buy salah, we get dialogue with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and contentment of heart for free. You have the time, buy wisely. Oh Lord, redesign me into what you would love me to be and what I would like to be. Finally, smile. Make yourself and your world happy for free. Yusuf Patel. Jazakallah khair for that, Brother Yusuf. And there's a second message come from Brother Yusuf as well. Sorry, no, it's the same message that's been sent twice. Brother Yusuf Patel, Jazakallah khair. Always, I love reading those messages.
تجزع وتضجر ويسلم للمكان بتحمات وتوجع وتفكر في فناها وفي كثرة عناها وفي قلة غناها فطوبى ثم طوبى لمن منها تحكم وطلقها وفي طاعة
Now, where in the world, yes, I mean, where in the world can you get good food? In fact, which city is rated to have the best food in the world? And you're not going to believe what I'm going to read to you now, right now. When it comes to exploring a new city, one of the most exhilarating adventures is diving into its local food scene. Food has a magical way of bringing people together, telling stories, and defining a culture. Whether it's grabbing a quick bite from a street vendor, savoring a Michelin-starred meal, or indulging in regional classics, these cities have captured the hearts of travelers worldwide. According to the 2024 Reader's Choice Awards, here are the top 10 cities where you can eat your way through the best culinary delights. Number 10, it's Sydney. Number 9, it's Singapore. 8 is Rome. 7 is Bangkok. 6 is Hong Kong. 5 is Portugal. Number 4 is Tokyo. Number 3 is Valencia. And number 2 is Milan. And will you believe which is number 1? No, unfortunately, it's not Durban for its bunny chows. No. It is Cape Town. Known for its natural beauty, the city is also a true culinary melting pot, bringing together African, Dutch, Malay, and Indian influences into one unforgettable food experience. Now, who would have thought that Cape Town will top the cities as the best foodie destinations? Wow, South Africa it is once again.
बुला लो मदीना मुझे मेरे मौला मैं जाऊं मैं देखूं मोहम्मद का रोजा बुला लो मदीना मुझे मेरे मौला मैं जाऊं मैं देखूं मोहम्मद का रोजा वो जिनको थी बरसों से जो हो जाए चलता रहेगी बरसती वो जिनको थी बरसों से आंखें तरसती जो हो जाए चलता रहेगी बरसती रहेगी बरसती.
Okay, I've received a beautiful message. It says, every minute someone leaves this world behind, we are all in line without knowing it. We never know how many people are before us. We cannot move to the back of the line. We cannot step out of line. We cannot avoid the line. So while we wait in the line, let's make friends, make moments count, make priorities, make the time before it's too late. Make a nobody feel like a somebody. Make your voice heard. Make the small things big. Make someone smile. Make the change. Be one. Make love. Be the love. Make up. Don't break up. Make peace. Wars are easy. Make sure to have no regrets and greeds. Make sure to tell your people that they are loved. Make memories. Make food and share it with someone. Make someone laugh. Make someone make someone to laugh and make something feel better. Make yourself proud. It says, pray for Palestine. Thank you for that message. Another message that comes says, true peace is found when we let go of what divides us and embrace what unites us. Every small act of kindness and understanding brings us closer to a world at harmony. Small acts of kindness can make the biggest difference, whether it's donating time, resources, or a smile. Every effort counts. Let's lift each other up and make the world a brighter place. Trust is earned slowly but can be lost in an instant. It's the quiet relationship built on honesty, kept with consistency, and cherished like a treasure. Once broken, it leaves a scar that's hard to heal. 0609041056. We've got like a minute or two. Message comes from Brother Yusuf Patel. There is no enemy outside our soul. The real enemies live inside us. Anger, pride, greed, and hate. Avoid all of them and enjoy a peaceful life. Do the best until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. I learned to give not because I have much, but because I know exactly how it feels to have nothing. Be like the pineapple, stand tall, wear a crown, ignore and shed off the roughage around you, and be sweet on the inside. This comes from Yusuf Patel, and Brother Yusuf Patel also reminds us to remember Palestine in all of the du'as. Time for me to round up, but before I round up, I'm sure there'll be a message or two that comes through. So 060-904-1056.
قائل قد أضاعت حياتي وفيا لأجل هناء البشر أقول له أفلح الأوفياء وحسب الوفاء يطيل العمر هنيئا لمن أخلص الحب عمره وسحقا لذاك الذي قد غدر هنيئا لمن أخلص الحب عمرا وسحقا لذاك الذي قد غدر.
Thank you for listening to Rise and Shine on Radio Al Ansar. Thank you to Asfar Fili for having engineered and Hajra Koda for having produced the show. The next program after the news that you'll be listening to is Careers Compass, and that is produced by Kelly. That is presented by Kelly, and of course the program that we all look forward to. The news this morning will be by Duma. And of course, I say thank you for having joined me once again. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. All the best to you. And that's it from myself, Faizal MJ Suleman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وحسن الربيع وماء المطر مقامهم فوق رأس الجبال وفوق الروابي وعند القمر ويا من تحب غياب الوفاء رأيتك تهوى غياب البصر